We are at Taranaki Farm on the highest point of the property, and we're about to take down a couple of eucalypts. What kind of eucalypts are these?
These are Eucalyptus obliqua. The major thing is we're looking for is to build a polyface style scissor frame or scissor trussed chicken house, which is 10 metres long and about 5 metres wide, and it'll store about it's enough area to nest about 1,000 chooks. So what we're going to do, we're actually on the highest part of the land here at Taranaki, and the owner said he'd like to have a little hut or something up here, so we're going to clear a bit of space for that, and going to take out some of these. But first off, I've got to just check the trees and see, all right, where's the weight in the tree. Like if I look up at this fella here, you can see it's got a bit of a kink, so it's likely, even though the branches head out that way, that a lot of the weight is actually going to come down this way. So I'll probably, there's no point working against the weight of the way the tree wants to fall. So that being the case, I'll fell it in this direction. But you've still got to look at, all right, well, what is in the way, and will we take stuff out first so that we don't get that god-awful problem of a tree hanging. And this is a big tree, so I don't want to have that happening. We'll take all of those out, and we should have a bit of, well, we'll have a couple of days worth of milling on our hands, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, so
It's going to be a long day.
Yeah. Yeah, the saw I'm using is a fairly big one. It's the second biggest still you can buy. It's 92 cc's. It hasn't got as big a bar as it could have, but it's a good balance. It's about 7.5 kilos. It uses a lot of fuel, but it cuts beautifully, and it's really a felling saw, not a cross-cutting saw. So it's got a lot of flexibility like that. You can also use it on a portable chainsaw mill, which is one of the main reasons why we bought it. We can use it for that purpose. You can start the chainsaw like this. It's either down here with your foot in here, or in here with your arm locked, right, with this arm locked. And that's not this. This sort of thing is just dangerous.
Yeah.
Always start with the chain brake on. One thing you saw there, I just did a pretty straightforward what we call scarf cut, and you don't come in any more than a third of the tree. And so you just come in horizontally and then come on a diagonal to that, get rid of that, and then you come with your felling cut from behind. The saw has actually got guides on it. That's what these lines are. They're not just graphics or just cute things. They're actually to help you guide where the chainsaw is, so you can use that to help you guide. One of the other things is, when you're setting yourself up for this, is finding yourself an escape route, because tree felling is unpredictable, and so you want to be sure that you've got somewhere to go. So I had all of this clear area, which was fine. Now I'm just going to cross-cut some of this so it's a bit easier to get out of the way and bring the tractor up here. Now, what most people do is they cut like this, and that's not the way you're meant to do it. The way I got taught is to cut like that. So you actually you lead, and this is not intuitive. It's intuitive to come here because there's this space here. And sometimes you still do it, but it's actually better if you lead with your right foot. That also gives you the possibility of locking this arm down, right? So now you've got, this arm is really locked in, whereas here, your arm is not locked. But you can really lock it in there, and away you go. So that's just something else. But look, if anyone wants to do this sort of stuff, go off and do a short course in, you can get what we call the forest operator's license or ticket, and or you can do it at TAFE or whatever. Learn how to maintain your saw, but also how to fell and cross-cut trees safely, because otherwise, if you don't, you're really putting yourself at danger. The other thing is, good safety gear. I'm probably yelling at the moment because I can barely hear. Great earmuffs, decent helmet, chaps, and steel caps. Chaps of all of this with the head stuff are the most critical. Chaps are, you just wouldn't saw without them, and just especially if you're doing it all day. I mean, you get fatigued and you get sloppy, and this thing's moving at about 180 kilometres an hour, and yeah, it doesn't even bear imagining it actually. I mean, this thing almost, when you put it beside a saw, the tree almost falls itself. It's that scared. Anyway, we'll get this sorted and then we'll get on to the next one.
That worked out well. It's only a couple of metres shy of the fence at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, forgot about the fence. They're doing away with all the fences anyway.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He would have been helping them out.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure that's the way we'll look at it.
Oh,
that wasn't a perfect cut.
Right.
The scarf cut was pretty well. But what I did here, you can see how it's not perfectly horizontal. It's about horizontal.
Ah, yep.
So, yeah, not as good as it could be. You can see in here, see how rotten it is in the middle?
Oh, right.
So, you know, that's what we call a pithy core.
Yep.
And
does that might that be a problem for the timber, or?
Yeah, okay. Typically, and that's one of the reasons why we prune. You know, because you can see there that's rotten.
Yep.
So you could pretty well say that zone there, which is maybe the first 10 years of life or so.
Yep.
Is pretty well wasted. So that's about a 10 centimetre diameter or so. So that's why it's so important that when you've got trees, not so much in a native stand, but even so, if you've got a new native stand, I'd get in and prune them, because then you can just make sure that all of the branches up to 6 metres in height are within that pithy core.
Oh,
which is the young, you know, that's when the tree is quite young, because the tree grows like this. So, but we've got enough diameter there, and when we're probably close to a 50, what are we? Yeah, about a 60 centimetre diameter, which is good. There's a bit of rot through here.
So the idea is to prune the branches off your saw log while it's still less than 10 centimetres, sort of thing.
Yeah, because because typically in a lot of trees, especially eucalypts, as I've seen, you'll have a pithy core.
Yep.
And it's pithy because it's the youngest part of the tree. It's when the tree's young. So if you can keep all of your branching and all your branch knots confined to that, and then this is all just clear timber with no branches through it, then that's going to be a lot more valuable. Because the more branches you have, the more disease entry you have, and so on, and then that just degrades all of this. I mean, these are gum. This has always got a lot of gum veins through it, so it's a bit dirty. But yeah, that can actually be quite decorative. I mean, I'm not worried about decoration in the case of this fella, because
yeah, the chickens won't complain.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing 6x1s or 6x1.5, so we'll be cutting sort of pieces about that wide. So I'll be able to get quite a few out of this. I'm just hoping that I'll be able to get a 5 metre saw log. I'm just going to get the tape.
It's the very top of the tree. It's actually just touching, the very top leaves are just touching the fence with no damage at all.
In here I've got my cutting list for the day.
Alright.
So I know that I've got to get 12 6 metres, and I've got to get 10 5. So I've got to find, although that's bracing, so I can get away with not having 6 metre long braces.
You can join bits,
but the bits that I do need that have got to be a full length are the scissor frame itself.
Right.
And so a tree like this, I'm hopeful.
Hopefully get 5 metres
I'll get a 5 metre thing out of it. Which is part of the gig. I mean, you know, for a lot of people who are doing farm forestry or you know, building on their farm, then you really want to go up to a tree knowing what you want to get out of it. So, you know, the old de Bono saying, begin with the end in mind. And, And could you just hold the end of that for me, please, mate? And
I mean, once you've got a mixed stand, it's like a pantry, isn't it? You go up. When you need something, you go up and find it.
Well, we've got our 5.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's really where it starts to taper off.
Yeah.
So 5 is here. I'll be able to get 5s out of that though, that's okay.
Great.
That makes me feel better. But yeah, sure is. I mean, we did a job here once. Had a guy up here who was milling, and we were texting him the dimensions that we wanted. I mean, so while he's felling and milling, and we're texting him saying, oh, can we have 5 lengths of 6 metre long 4x2s?
Yeah.
And so, yep, he brings, so at morning smoko or lunchtime he brings down the 4x2s. You can see how the centre of the trees move.
Right.
So it's actually pretty good. It was a straight enough tree, it didn't have much competition. But now it's got that kink in it.
Yeah.
The centre of the tree is shifted to one side.
Yep.
You can see that. So there's going to be a bit of tension wood, or compression wood, in this part of the tree. That should be okay. I mean, we're going to put it straight in. It's going to be in fairly big dimensions, 6 by 1.5s.
Yep.
And so and it's going to be under a fair bit of tension with bracing. So, and we'll put it all together green. All right, next. It's not ideal that it landed on there because it damaged it.
Yeah.
As a bastard. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'll still get my 5 metres out of it.
Yeah, it's a.
There'll be a bit of shock through there.
You might even get 6 metres, mightn't you? It's still a pretty good length.
Oh, I was going to say that's not the one I have my tape on.
Yeah.
You throw the tape.